Hello, welcome to Off the Shelf Reviews.
I died so many years ago.
And I'm Gary. And today we're going to review and discuss Daybreakers, which came out in 2009, written and directed by Michael and Peter Spierig. Iain, why don't you give us the synopsis?
The story follows Ethan Hawke's character, Edward Dalton, who is a blood specialist. He's also a vampire living in a vampirely dominated world. But as the supply of human blood starts to run out, Edward has to seek an alternative, but realizes he may have found a cure.
So I've been a fan of these directors since their first release,
Yeah.
Undead, back in 2003.
Yeah.
I thought it was such an experimental and refreshing kind of take on the zombie horror genre.
Yeah, it was.
And so when it came to Daybreakers, it was just like, it's by those filmmakers. I'm gonna have to go and see this. And after seeing it in the cinema, I was like, it was okay.
Yeah.
It was okay, and you know it's been a while now, and I've continued to follow their career. You know, Predestination, also starring Ethan Hawke,
That was awesome.
was fantastic. But then again, they kind of let me down with Jigsaw, like the most modern, the most up to date, Saw movie.
Yeah, that wasn't brilliant,
So
was it?
I don't know whether it's the studios that are kind of holding back their creativity, especially that we saw in Undead,
Yeah.
compared to now. But I will say that Daybreakers coming out at the time that it did was so refreshing because we were inundated at the time in Twilight. You know, it was the sparkly vampires that seemed to be dominating cinema. So that was why it was a good time to go and see Daybreakers, because it was, you knew you were walking into in the cinemas it was 15 in
Yeah.
the UK, and the DVD release was an 18 rated, but we knew we were going to see a gory horror movie, especially, again, like I said, coming on the back of Undead.
Yeah, it's very dark. You know, it does start off really well. We've got Ethan Hawke, playing Edward Dalton. We've got Sam Neill playing Charles, his boss. We've got a great lineup of other actors coming in, but I didn't see it in the cinema. Like, I don't even remember the trailer coming out. I just remember seeing it on Film 4 and thinking, ooh, vampires, I need to see this. And then sitting down and watching it, and you're started off with, the film doesn't tell you where the virus comes from.
It doesn't, but it does, like, it tells you, there's a calendar at the beginning that tells you it's April 2019.
Yeah.
And there is, like, a small indicator that there was a bat that caused the beginning of the infection. I was like, this film feels oddly prophetic.
yeah, I did feel that when I was watching it, like,
because it's a global pandemic where the entire planet has now come into contact with a vampire virus. The entire human society is now made up of vampires, with just a few humans that are kind of hiding off the grid, because humans are hunted and they're taken away and they're put into Matrix-style incubators and harvested for their blood.
oh, that's kind of a gross sequence.
It
to
is.
see.
Well, this entire setup, this premise is absolutely fantastic, and the filmmakers do an excellent job of creating this world.
Yeah.
Where when you're sat there watching it and you're going into these first 10 minutes, you're just like, this is amazing. Like, you're seeing this homeless vampire on the street.
Oh, God, yeah.
And he's got the sign saying he's hungry.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is fascinating. Like, trying to imagine this whole world, like 10 years after the whole world has become vampires, and how society has changed.
Yeah. But it just seems like such a great idea, with a lot of vampire stories, a lot of vampire films. It's the idea of immortality.
Yes.
Everybody wants to be immortal and live forever, but you can only go out at night and you have to drink blood. And with this film, it does hit home that idea that not everybody's happy with it, because you get that little girl at the start.
Yes.
And she's writing in her diary about how she's never gonna age, she's never gonna grow up, she's stuck in this body. The actress from Interview with the Vampire, she went through the same thing.
Yes, yeah.
And we had the same thing with Homer in Near Dark. Just this idea of a child or an adult, years older than what it looks like, just looking in the mirror, or not even looking in the mirror, because vampires don't
Have a
appear.
reflection. See, it was like that moment when Ethan Hawke's getting into his car and he looks over into the street alleyway.
Yeah.
And there's like a bunch of 8-year-olds, just smoking and hanging out. But
Yeah.
you look at them, you're like, well, they're not.
They're school kids.
They're like 18.
They're just school kids. And this society is still trying to... I found that funny with this film, is that this society is trying to still be human.
Yes, it's like they're holding on to the humanity. They're trying to have that sense of normality.
Money's still a thing.
That's all these things that are like, my brain just shot off in 100 different tangents of ideas. Like, well, if blood is the only currency, the only thing that that anybody even needs anymore, like how much does that impact the world? What's changed? And I wanted the film to explore some of those things, but it really doesn't. For me, the film starts with this huge scale, world changing event. And then it just narrows in and narrows in and narrows into this one real storyline.
Yeah.
And then when things happen to these characters, it doesn't feel like these big moments. They just feel really small in scale.
Yeah.
And that for me was like one of the issues I have with the film.
It's like everything seems to surround Edward Dalton. Like we said, he's a blood specialist. He's working on this synthetic blood replacement, which when you give it to a vampire just makes everything explode.
That is a great sequence though, isn't it? He's been tasked with finding a substitute blood because the vampires have eaten up all the humans. There's none left. You see the factory and you see him looking at all the blood, like all the donors.
Yeah, we watched that sequence over a couple of times, just get emptier and emptier.
And so he's got to find a substitute for this blood. And when he's got that guy on the lab, this test subject, and he injects him, and he's just like, it's okay. I'm not feeling anything. And then all of his skin starts to bubble and boil.
Good, yeah.
And he gives him that injection, and he's like, oh. I feel...
The effects are really well done, but like you said, because it's for the guys from Undead, and the zombie stuff was really well done as well. I expect all these horrific kind of vampire moments to be gross, but then at the same time, like you said, the story just doesn't completely bind it together.
Right.
He like I said, he's the blood specialist, so I'm like, I've seen Daybreakers a couple of times, and I do really enjoy it, but I know he's the hero, and it's like when he's driving home and he comes across, or he crashes into the humans.
Yeah.
And then these humans driving around, looking for their next spot. They like move from camp to camp to camp. And there's even like vampire politicians who are involved with the humans trying to help them out. And we've already known from Edward Dalton that he doesn't drink human blood.
But that was the thing that confused me, because we know that he doesn't drink human blood. Like, his brother turns up at his house on his birthday.
Yeah.
And he's just like, hey, it's 100% pure blood, and he pours it over ice.
Yeah, his brother's like a soldier who spends his time hunting these humans.
And he's just like, we can see Ethan Hawke, he's just like, no, I don't want to drink that. I don't drink that. But we're also told several times in the film that vampires can't drink any other blood.
No, I think they can drink animal blood.
So if they can drink animal blood, why is there a shortage?
Yeah, well, life's a bitch, and then you don't die.
That's another point I couldn't get my head around, because if they're starving themselves, they start to mutate into these things called subsiders, which are basically Nosferatu vampires living in sewers.
They have
Tremere,
that bat-look appearance. The wings, the claws, the ears, the face.
They fully start to mutate, and it's accelerated if they feed on themselves or other vampires.
Right.
And so I'm like, okay, right, so the human blood supply is running low, so this stuff is rationed, and they're selling it everywhere. It's in the fucking
You get your own, like,
shops.
Starbucks, a vampire version.
Yeah, like Sam Neill's like, here's some coffee and blood. I'm like, dude, this is a fucking rarity. And he's like, yeah, I'm rich. And I'm like, that doesn't stop it from being a rarity. But like you said, animals, like horses.
Pig's blood.
Yeah. Cows, does this film do these vampires desperately need human blood?
That was what the film felt wishy-washy on it, because I was led to believe they had to. But it's the fact that Ethan Hawke has, like, from his reaction, has never touched human blood at all.
That's it. Did he
why
stop over the last year?
Why do they need to find a substitute?
I mean, maybe he did just stop over the last year, and he's not been drinking it for that time. But then what has he been drinking?
Right, yeah.
Because the film never shows us.
No. But
he has this argument with his brother, and his brother's just like, you're a bastard. You know, I'm trying to work with you. But you also find out that his brother turned Ethan Hawke. Like, Ethan Hawke didn't want to become a vampire.
Right.
But his brother didn't want him to die. Which, you know, you start to get these really great... I say great. The moralistic stories that we're getting given to us show that there was this other life happening before. But also they're trying to find this cure or this substitute. So they're trying to stop the subsider thing. You know, Sam Neill's got this daughter who never turned. You know, and she's running around at the moment with a bunch of human survivors. So when she turns up, I'm like, did you have to bring her in? You know, we've got all these other things going on. This is just another one to throw on top for the movie to go, oh yeah, we'll just get rid of all these.
Well, the thing
tie
is,
up all the loose ends before the
it
end.
really gave Sam Neill's character, you know, some background, so that he wasn't just
He's
this corporate villain.
He's a vampire corporate boss. What more does he need?
Yeah, I know, but it kind of shown at least some humanity towards his character, or to show, you know, the position that he's in. I did like it. It just for me, it wasn't utilized to its full effect.
Well, yeah, I suppose the film maybe was trying to red herring, like, oh, this person's going to have human feelings, and this person's going to have human feelings, and
Well,
this
it's just like it does make you question how much humanity these vampires do have left. Like, I think there was a quote in the film somewhere, like, the last breath of humanity will leave the planet along with the last drop of human blood.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's because these vampires do turn into uncontrolled, you know, psychotic monsters.
Maybe that's why they only drink human blood, because it gives them what they think is humanity and stops them from mutating. I don't know, but the leader of the human survivors turns up during the day and gives, you know, Edward this information that she can help him find this cure. And I thought that bit was a bit weird, because she turns up during the day, gives him the information, and leaves. And then Edward turns around and his brother's sat there on the stairs like, who's that? I'm like, it's the middle of the day. Like, well, I figured he must be sleeping upstairs because he must have stayed night. One of them. But he sat there like, who's that? Not suspicious or anything. And Edward's like, nobody. And I'm like, oh, he's totally going to follow you now.
Right.
And
he does. Like, he gets called to meet, doesn't he, in the middle of the day at noon at this location. I was just like, okay, so, you know, he's trying to avoid the sunlight. And he's getting out of his car. He gets the light reflected off the mirror into his face anyway, which he doesn't react to.
Yeah.
And then he's sneaking around underneath the cover of this tree.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, you're avoiding direct sunlight.
Yeah.
But they do explain in the film as well that UV rays can also burn these vampires up. And I'm like, you're getting no protection underneath that tree. You should still erupt in flames.
Yeah, I know.
It's like, oh, okay, film. It's
Did
fine.
he put sunblocker on before he got out? You know, is his clothes specifically designed? I don't know, because the movie, like, this is where the movie just goes woo, and you've got to, if you're not with it, you might have lost it at this point, because we meet up with Willem Dafoe playing Elvis, you know, or well, that's his nickname. He's a car mechanic,
right?
An ex-vampire car mechanic. You know, he was the one who helped design the tinted windows and the auto-drive cars. And he'd been alive, well, I'm assuming since the outbreak.
Yeah.
Up until like a year before this point. And he's driving along. He explains that he was driving along at speeds, you know, crazy. He's a vampire. He doesn't care. But he's driving during the daylight. And he takes his eyes off the road for 2 seconds. Looks back. His car collides with a post. And he flies out the windscreen and immediately bursts into flames, because obviously it's daytime. As soon as he hits the water and gets back up again, he's human.
Huh? So the direct sunlight burnt the vampire virus right out of him?
I think, I think maybe it works as like a shock system. As soon as they restart your heart, you know, your body's gone through such a traumatic thing that it's restarted your heart, which has allowed you, because the emphasis I got from a lot of these sequences was breathing.
Right. Yeah.
You know, that as soon as they've gone through this thing and been flash burned or whatever, they breathe, and that allows the than to
Kickstarts the system again, yeah.
yeah. And so the whole vampire virus is just eradicated instantly.
Literally burnt right out of them, yeah. Well, there's a small bit of trivia here for you,
Right.
is that, William Dafoe's character's nickname is Elvis. The film released on January 8th, 2010, which is actually Elvis Presley's birthday.
Ah, right. Oh, that's nice. But they come up with this idea now that, you know, that maybe they should work together because obviously Edward's brother has become suspicious and followed them and has tried to capture them. And then the army has turned up and we get this whole massive chase sequence, which, like, I think I really much preferred the film's slow, steady pace. You know, the sequences in the city with the vampires, you know, standing there just doing normal life. Now this whole chase sequence with cars and the sunlight bursting through, it just seems really absurd.
Yeah.
There's a couple of cuts where I'm like, the truck shouldn't even be there. You know, you were well ahead of it, and now all of a sudden we've had a cut, and to keep the chase going, the truck is behind you now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there was a continuity issue I had here as well.
Yeah.
That when they see Elvis's car, it's riddled with bullet holes.
Yeah.
And they try to hide it maybe with the positioning of some of the actors, but I'm like, it's covered in bullet holes. And then the army truck turns up
And
it
fires.
starts shooting at the car, which has no bullet holes in it. And then it's ridden in bullet holes. I was just like, but it was, what's
Yeah.
if you once you're aware of it, you're just like, oh, okay, it's a small continuity thing, but it just takes you out of the experience just a little bit.
Yeah. This that's what it was. This chase felt like taking me out, you know, because I kind of know they're gonna get away.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
there's nothing really there. But then it just like they drive over that bridge and the other Humvee drives down and the men get smashed through the window
And the
car
blood splats all over the camera lens.
Yeah, but because they're vampires and vampires explode in this world, like. Fucking explode, the Humvee explodes.
Right, yeah.
You know, and it's like, oh!
I thought that was a nice way to end the chase sequence.
Yeah.
It was satisfying, I would say.
So the survivors, they get to their little secret human resistance hideout, you know, and while they're there, some of the humans are a bit, we don't like these vampires being here. We've got this vampire politician.
Yeah. Well, they notice that Ethan Hawke's ears have elongated when he's in the car.
Yes.
And she's like, look, cuts her own hand, feeds him some blood.
Yeah.
And she's like, look, if we're going to take you back to the human base,
We need
we need you like not wanting to eat us because you're changing. And she kind of does that without saying much.
Yeah.
And he is reluctant to drink it, but he does, and gives him a little bit of normality.
Yeah, Claudia Carvin, the lady playing Audrey, she did play the leader of the resistance really well.
She did,
you know,
yeah.
trying to keep up with like William Dafoe's Elvis character, who initially you think is like the leader, but he's like, dude, I'm just a vampire that got turned.
But he is very much like a dude bro kind of
Yeah,
guy,
he is
especially
yeah.
with his dialogue and the way he behaves. He feels like he feels like a human who's been born again after being a vampire, like so carefree.
Yeah,
but
no.
also understanding the importance of making a global cure, which is why they start constructing this device
Yeah.
to turn vampires back to normal.
Well, I mean, Ethan Hawke comes up with that idea, doesn't he, of getting the wine fermentation tank,
Yeah.
you know, and flash firing himself. But at the same time, the vampire politician has gone out with some human survivors to go to a new location. But we are also following Sam Neill's daughters, the survivor,
Part of the-
in
part of the
another convoy.
Yeah.
And we see that convoy get attacked. And I mean, this sequence was okay, but it's so blatantly obvious. You know, like you got these 4 or 5 trucks in the middle of the dark, in the middle of nowhere. They get stopped by a burst tire. And then all of a sudden the vampire army are just there in the darkness.
Surrounding them, yeah.
Like the humans have got crossbows, but are they homing crossbows or exploding
Well,
crossbows?
no, I mean, if it's a crossbow and it's wooden or wooden stake kind of thing, or silver, I don't know what they're using.
Dude,
but it makes
every hit
when
was
the
a kill.
When the vampires die, they explode. Well, we can't tell the missed shots in the dark. We can just tell when they have got a kill because they explode.
Yeah, they just explode. And we hear Sam Neill's daughter kind of get captured, but she radios Willem Dafoe, and their location is compromised at this point. But
Yeah.
Ethan Hawke's like, nope, I got to do this. And he does change himself.
Yeah, a few failed attempts, but then eventually, after Flash firing himself, there's another small complaint that I do have. Is They wrap him in a wet towel so he won't burn or too much.
Yeah.
But he's also got like those devices pinned to his chest.
Yeah.
I'm just like, and they're completely functional after he Flash fires himself. I was like, okay.
Yeah, the plastic is still fine. I'm like,
no. But yeah, eventually he's reformed. He's human again. He lives.
Following, Charles's boss character, this whole daughter sequence is a bit dark, I suppose. His daughter's been captured, and he wants her to be with him, but she obviously hates him. And I wanted the film to delve more into this and find out more. But like we said, we've been here many times with this movie where we want to know more of what's going on, but it just doesn't happen. And so she gets thrown back in a cell, and for helping trying to capture her, Charles basically turns to Frankie, Ethan Hawke's brother, and says, yeah, can you turn her for me? And he does. He goes in there and he fucking bites her. And she turns into a vampire, but then she purposely doesn't feed on human blood. She purposely feeds on herself. And there's that whole horrible attack sequence in the cell where she tries to rub like her bitten wrist all on his face. That was
gross.
That was over social distancing now.
It does lead into, we've seen the underground, sewer section, and we've seen like one, vampire down there.
Yeah.
And then later in the film, we see a whole, nest of them down there.
Yeah.
And so we know this transformation's coming. And it's a really cool sequence where they've chained up all of these dying vampires that are mutating in chains to the back of this truck and driving them out into the sunlight. And Sam Neill's daughter is one of them.
Yeah.
And, and like the emotional resonance from that sequence should have been at an all-time high.
Yeah.
But it doesn't. It felt kind of flat. And I don't know what it was. It just, the emotional payoff just wasn't there. It was visually, striking and, gobsmacking, but...
I'll go with you on that one, because I think it's revolving around Frankie, the brother.
Yeah.
Because he sees her die and he gets overwhelmed with emotion, and so he goes to find his brother. And Elvis, Edward and Audrey have gone to the Resistance building, the Resistance base, found the senator dead. I mean, the gore in that sequence seemed a little bit silly. Like, people have had their heads ripped off and have been eaten and whatnot, and I'm just like, are these I know these vampires are starving, we can see this, but Jesus Christ, this seems a little bit
They left a lot of blood behind, didn't they?
Yeah, exactly. And Frankie's come across his brother and bites Elvis and turns human in this whole situation, and you're like, oh wow, so reversed vampires are the cure.
Yes.
If you feed from them, they get it. I'm like, you keep flashing back, don't you, because Audrey gets captured and taken to Charles, and then Ethan Hawke gives himself up to Charles because he's a reverse vampire, and you kind of know the plan. If he can get Charles to bite him,
so he's just got to wind him up or psych him out or, build up and to force him to do it. Which he does.
It's a great sequence. Sam Neill and Ethan Hawke going toe to toe.
Yeah.
And then Sam Neill just kind of giving in.
I like the idea because Sam Neill's character was like, he was dying of, I think it was pancreatic cancer.
Yeah.
So he was dying, and so the vampire immortality thing was like a blessing for him.
Yeah.
And so now that he's become human again, he's like, oh, I'm going to die now.
Yeah.
But, well, he's going to die now anyway.
Yeah. He gets thrown in the elevator by Ethan Hawke and sent down. And
he's tied up, isn't he? And sent down to the nest.
Yeah, that's it. And the vampire soldier down there, they tear him apart.
They pull his head right off his shoulders.
But still going with the Frankie character, we keep having flashbacks, flashes to him turning human, and then Ethan Hawke goes to escape, and Frankie gives himself up to the soldiers.
Yeah, so that they could get away.
But We've just watched Sam Neill get ripped apart in a fucking elevator.
Yeah.
And as good as this sequence is of Frankie being eaten, he doesn't get ripped apart.
No.
He just kind of lies on the floor, still with all of his body parts there.
Yeah, I know. I was just
and
like,
it just, like you said, it just doesn't have the...
Doesn't have the quite punch to it, does it? No.
This whole... I think it's his brother.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like the characters don't... It feels like they're dead inside.
Yeah.
Even though they've just had their humanity reawoken. I don't know. Yeah, those scenes just seem to fall flat. They don't have those emotional payoffs.
Yeah.
To make this film truly great.
It's what's cool is the next sequence because they it's a domino effect. The vampire soldiers all feed on Frankie, and those the ones that are left immediately turn human, and then are attacked by the ones that haven't fed, who then obviously turn human, and then are attacked by the ones that are left. And so
the thing is, by then we're left with like 3 humans left, and I was like, this isn't really going to cure, is it? Because like they're going to get fed and killed, and it's just going to keep passing until you literally wipe out the entire vampire, existence, and there's going to be like how many people left are going to survive?
Well, you've
this?
still got Ethan Hawke.
Yeah.
And technically...
Well, unless he falls into a nest of vampires and gets eaten as well and pulled
then
to pieces.
but then those ones will get, like...
And then they'll all get killed. And like literally domino effect. It's like, who's going to be left at the end of this? And we don't know because the film fades to black. And it literally says, we have a cure. We can change you back. That's it. It's just like, oh, what?
Well...
Are you?
We did kind of miss, Ethan Hawke's kind of laboratory bro, didn't we?
Oh, yeah.
They go to meet him halfway through the movie, and he's a bad guy, and he's the one who gets Audrey kidnapped. But then he turns up at the end and shoots the fucking 3 soldiers there. And you're like, dude, seriously? And we watched this whole sequence of the camera just zooming in on Willem Dafoe as he fucking crossbows the guy. And the guy explodes. And yeah, that's what I mean. They've got a cure because they've got Ethan Hawke and Willem Dafoe, but
they had a better cure in terms of the fire blasting.
Yeah, I know.
It's just like, see, they don't need this whole blood cure.
It's gonna save the humanity of humans. Yeah.
Well, what were your favourite or memorable sequences?
I have a few. I mean, I love the imagery of the bank farm.
Yes.
The humans there, the way that. You first see it with Ethan Hawke when he walks through, and then you just start to watch it in different sequences get emptier and emptier, and it's a horrible thought, especially like Gary said, it's kind of like Matrixy. They're asleep but awake, and they're just being drained. That's the reality of a vampire world. Everyone goes, oh yeah, it'll be nice, No, this is the reality, and the same with a couple of the other sequences, like the girl at the beginning with the diary, she just gives herself up. It's like a vampire suicide, and they're all probably all feeling like that, but then they don't want to kill themselves, I suppose. The blood test sequence with the guy on the table, you think they've saved him. And then he's like, I'm okay. Bang. He just fucking explodes all over the place. It's gross. Elvis's backstory, as absurd as it is, like we're living in a vampire world, and somebody tells you that you might get a virus from a bat strain of something. It's just silly. But, watching Willem Dafoe smash through that window, fly out, just the scream as well as he's on fire, and then the shock of him hitting the water. Like Ethan Hawke's one is all right, but it's they've got safety features in place. They keep turning it on and turning it off. The Subsider execution. I mean, I want to say the ending with the vampire domino effect, but I actually think just watching those Subsiders just be dragged out into the sun, knowing that, I don't know, are they people still?
Not anymore, but they could, if they were to feed, would they then revert back?
Exactly. If they fed on a human, would they turn back? Because, it happens, Ethan Hawke just turns back instantly, but how far does it have to go? How far are they going to go? Are they going to have, like, proper wings and shit?
It's going to become fully, I Am Legend.
Yeah. But, like, her look, to Frankie and just burn.
Yeah. Yeah, like you mentioned, the opening suicide sequence with the young girl. It was so impactful, and the impact that sequence had lingers over the whole rest of the film in
yeah.
terms of questioning this vampire society and the behaviors of people. And again, it was like, because it was such a good setup, it's like I wanted to see the big picture.
Yeah.
And with the fact, like, we know that the whole world is changing with this blood shortage, we don't see what's happening in the whole rest of the world.
News reports a little bit.
We see bits of news reports, but like we don't see like the panic on the streets. We only see like we go back to that coffee shop.
Yeah.
And the vampires going, "What, 5% blood? I demand more." And
Yeah.
that's all we see really of like the rioting on the streets. Like, I wanted to know how many of these vampires are coming up out of the surface, from underground. I don't know. It's like, it just seemed like there should be a global warfare going on right now.
Yeah.
But we don't see any of it. It's all confined in the end to this office. And so that was a little bit disappointing, but that all comes off the strength of that opening sequence. The hospital vampire exploding after vomiting, that was just really well done. The truck over the bridge, that gore explosion,
Yeah.
really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
The chained vampire execution, like, it was such an emotional moment, but it could have been so much more.
Saying that, it's like the old man in the house,
Yeah.
between Frankie and Edward. They fight this old man who's turned, and the fight sequence is nothing much.
They're nothing thrilling, are
but
they?
But he cuts the head off, but it carries on the story, and you're like, oh, cool, but it's over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Ian, do you recommend Daybreakers?
I do, but at the same time, it could have been so much more. Like Gary said, there's just certain moments where you're like, the acting's really on point, but then I don't really expect much from Ethan Hawke and Willem Dafoe, and Sam Neill. You give them direction, give them the script, and they deliver. And their parts are really well done. I did like the lady playing Audrey, and even Frankie, the brother. They all have these great moments, but are there too many? Is it squashed? Special effects are all right. Watch if you like vampires.
Yeah, I really do have mixed feelings on Daybreakers, but would still recommend it. My main issue for this film was that it felt that small in scale. It started with such promise, with interesting ideas about an entire society of vampires 10 years after global dominion. And, the societal changes, the world building was great. It was a creative and unique premise, but felt squandered. The action sequences were okay, nothing memorable or thrilling, and the ending felt, unsatisfactory.
Yeah.
Most of the big events lacked that emotional punch for the characters, and the final act seemed, formulaic. Still, the special effects were great, and the splashes of gore and guts were brutal and satisfying and fun. Sam Neill would be the reason to watch this. Always a great performance. Ethan Hawke did a fine job, and Willem Dafoe had some memorable dialogue. Great cinematography from Ben Knott, some great visuals. It's not a bad film. It's entertaining, and it was refreshing to see a new idea, but I just felt disappointed by the end. Still, it's worth a watch. Thanks for watching Off Their Shelf Reviews.
We have a cure. We can change you back.